Bonakele joins me from our parliamentary studio now. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Tell us why the 1.5 billion rand penalty on ArcelorMittal South Africa was so important, not just in terms of money.
It's very important in the sense that this is a large firm that's very influential in the South African economy. So there's a lot of steel buyers that we have protected in the long term by capping the EBITDA margin that they can earn. But also it brings to an end a long-standing competition case, litigation, with a penalty that will be an example, that will set an example both to AMSA itself but to others as well as to the cost of transgressing competition laws. And lastly, we've also made them to commit to an investment, because part of the problem of our steel sector is that these plants are old and companies have not been investing in them. So the settlement agreement commits them to a capex of 4.6 billion over the next couple of years.
Staying on fines, a frequent commentary on the fines or measures that the Commission imposes is that they're not a deterrent and that big companies often get a slap on the wrist. What's your response to that?
Well, until we're finding that there are no cartels anymore in South Africa, we can't say the fines are a sufficient deterrence. But I think we've been seeing them rising from what they used to be. We're talking 1.5 billion now against a single firm, and they will continue to do so until the firms stop doing this. But also there is now criminalization of cartel conduct. So we're working very hard to make sure that we work together with the criminal prosecuting authorities to bring to book any offenders who were involved in cartelization of markets.
When you speak about cartels, in your annual report, food cartels seem to be a big part of the investigations that you do. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Which cartels?
Food cartels.
Food cartels are very prevalent in South Africa. You will recall that historically we've had cases in the bread milling sectors. Right now we're looking at fats and oils. So the companies that are producing the most basic foodstuffs. This is very important for us because, you know, the cost, the poorest in society spend a lot of their money on food. So we literally go to the food basket and say, which amongst these products we think there would be anti-competitive behavior on. And we prioritize those by firstly researching whether there is no problem of pricing and things like that. And once we find that there are problems, we investigate, and often we find cartels.
The Competition Commission now met 85% of the annual performance plan targets in 2016-2017 compared to 71% in 2015-16. What led to the increase in targets set, and what were perhaps the targets that were not met that financial year?
Well, we have increased our capacity. We have refined our strategy. I think we have improved the capacity of the organization internally. The Commission, I mean, if you look at the public sector now, is really one of the best performing agencies and has won admiration of a lot of South Africans. And that is because of the work we are doing internally to get a high performing agency. So a lot of the targets we've met relate to investigations. We've set clear targets on, for an example, the success rates in courts. If you look at measures, 100% success rate. If you look at prosecutions, there's not a single firm that has contested our prosecution and won. So we've won all of those cases. We still have some challenges, particularly when it comes to things like we need to invest on IT systems, but that's a resource issue in part. There is also an issue of skills. I think that as a country, we still have challenges when it comes to skills in the area of competition law. So a lot of HR issues, are coming up as issues that we need to prioritize moving forwards.
Will you be investigating, or have you started investigating, the MultiChoice SABC and ANN7 contracts and deals with regards to, when it comes to the SABC, the issue of the archives, and when it comes to ANN7, how the contracts were done, and if there was any anti-competitive behavior there?
Well, we have been seized with the matter of SABC and MultiChoice. You will recall that this was a complaint by a couple of people. I think to us it was brought actually by Kexton, where they were saying the agreement between MultiChoice and SABC constitute a merger in that it transfers productive assets from the SABC to MultiChoice. But there's been a sort of sideshow that's been taking place where both MultiChoice and the SABC have not been forthcoming with information to the competition authorities. So we've been having this fight. This was at the Constitutional Court last week, where we were saying you've got to disclose everything to us pertaining to this agreement. And we are awaiting a constitutional decision on that. We have not yet formally received a complaint. I've noted what is in the media regarding ANN7 and MultiChoice. I'm still figuring out what is the competition angle exactly on this. But so far there's been no complaint that's been submitted to us.
Tembinkosi Bonakele, Competition Commission Commissioner, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. It's time for a short break. When we come back, we'll have more international business news. Do stay